Okay, all right. Let me get to the last part of this song. So we looked at that, we looked at that, we looked at this chord, we looked at this chord. Our next chord is another dominant chord, right? It's an F dominant 7. So if we're playing a dominant chord, we need the Mixolydian scale. F is the 5 of what? I'm gonna give you 5 seconds to think of it. F is the 5 of B flat, right? That's just to the audience general. But F is the 5 of B flat. So that means you're going to play the B flat scale starting on F. And remember, a dominant chord has the flat 7, right? Tools that you can use to start soloing immediately, right? All right, so that's our C dominant, our F dominant. Right? So that's the next chord. Then we go back to that B flat dominant, which means B flat is the 5 of E flat. We're back to our E flat scale. All right? So if we use all of those, we start with our Dorian, F Dorian, B flat, Mixolydian, E flat, pure, then C, Mixolydian, F, Mixolydian, then B flat, Mixolydian, then you can use your pentatonic scales, right?
So if you were to do now just that progression of the song, the first part, the 2, 5, 1 down to the 6 on a loop, and let it rip, improv-wise, what you got?
So some of those things I'm doing is outlining the chord changes as well, right?
Yeah, so it's like arpeggiation?
Yeah, arpeggiation. So that F minor, you can outline it in your solo. Or you can start on the 3. That sounds a little better. A lot of arpeggiation works really well, right? Because any of those chords you land on, remember we're in E flat, so you can. That's just spelling out all those E flat chords. Oops, sorry. Simple stuff that you can use just from knowing your scales.
So I noticed you were kind of singing your solos, and I noticed that's very common amongst a lot of jazz pianists. Why is that? Why do you do it, and why other jazz piano players do it? Is that something that just come naturally, or is it something that helps with soloing? How does that work?
It did not come naturally in the beginning for me at all. I was not singing songs, not even a little bit. Mostly just because it helps you connect with what you're playing and not aimlessly aim for notes.
Okay.
Right? I can play my scales as an exercise. Like a lot of the stuff I'm showing you is for an exercise for the purpose of taking your exercise and making it useful.
Okay.
But that's not how I would solo generally. If I'm just abandon my exercise and begin to solo, then I need to take the knowledge that I have. Like, so the scales are to help you stay, feel confident about what you're playing so that you don't feel like you're playing wrong notes. That's really what it's all about. It's not to tell you to solo using your scales. It's telling you this is the bandwidth of information that you need for this thing, for you to craft something real nice out of this thing. It's
kind of
like
your ABCs.
Right.
You know all your ABCs, but when you're writing, you don't try to use every single letters of the alphabet in every word.
Exactly, right? So you break that down into words. Some words are longer than others. Some words are emphasized more than others. And when you begin singing, something happens to your solo that, to me, doesn't happen when you don't sing. And it's just, and everybody doesn't sing out loud where you can hear them. Right? Everybody doesn't do that. Some people kind of like internally sing. For me, it starts to happen out loud sometimes. And I did that on purpose at one point so that I could train myself to follow what I'm hearing inside without lag, right? Because you find yourself like, I didn't make that. Oh, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. Okay, well, if I'm singing out and I'm playing out what I'm singing at the same time, at least I'm getting these two things matching up. I want my inner voice and the ideas that I'm hearing to come as much in real time and as close to what I'm hearing as possible. So if I sing it out while I'm playing it, then I'm hearing it with these ears, and I'm also executing it with my hand at the same time. And I'm more likely to be connected to my solo, and my solo is more likely to develop in a way that I want it to, and just generally to sound like me and not just an exercise. So that's why I do it. I've never taken a class where they tell you why, but that's what I do it. And a lot of the great musicians that I like, they've done that at some point or another.
Do you transcribe solos?
I absolutely do. A lot.
How often? Or when you used to in the thick of it study-wise, how often do you transcribe?
I transcribe something. I don't transcribe as much as I used to at this point, but I try to transcribe something every week. Every week.
And it doesn't have to be an entire full,
No.
just a section or a cool lick that you hear or chord movements or something.
Or some chord movement, something that I like, that I'm just like, ooh, let me grab that and transcribe it. And a lot of times now, especially because I know my theory and I've done quite extensive ear training through middle school, through college, through lessons, then my transcribing becomes fairly enjoyable because as soon as I hear it, I have an idea of what's going on. I just sit down and go to the piano. I'm like, oh, I never thought to put that together like that, but that's a this and that's a that and that's a those three things combined, or that's this. Oh, or I just, like I said, I transcribed Oscar Peterson, and the first thing in his lick was straight up an E flat major scale. People are like,
what's the purpose of transcription? Because some people are like, what is transcription and why should I do it?
Transcription is important. Number one, I think, for training your ear. I also think that you should transcribe along with theory transcribing to the best of your ability. Everybody doesn't have access to it because they often do it in schools and with private lessons. But if you can, then do it. Because one of the things that helped me in my transcriptions, in my ear training classes, was they would play a chord, or they would play 3 chords, and we would literally have to listen to them and transcribe them by hand. Like now people think of transcribing only by sitting down and playing what you played. No. In theory class and in ear training class, they would play 3 chords. We'd have to write the chords out in the exact order of the notes that they played them. So if they played, we would have to write out all of the notes they played in the order with the rhythm that they did. And what that did for me is it sharpened my ear to know what kind of chords I'm listening to, what's on the bottom, what's on the top. It taught me how to listen. Like, da, da, da. So I'm like, if they give me a general key and I hear da, 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 I know my bottom note is staying the same. I'm also listening to my top note. Da, da, da. Right? Now they become voices and not just notes. Which now when I listen to another pianist, I'm not hearing trying to figure out things so much. I'm hearing these voices now because my ear has been trained to follow the lower voice, follow the top voice, and follow the middle voices. Da, 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 da. So I have 4 different voices there, and I can recognize each and every voice. And I think that makes you a dynamic pianist, especially when it comes to composing and arranging and all the things that people talk about, like the fancy chords and the fancy voicings and reharmonization. People are obsessed with reharmonization, but I get it. But to me, that ear training makes your reharmonization personal to you. It's not just a bunch of moving chords for somebody to say, oh, wow, those are nice moving chords. That's cool. But I think the most important thing is that you transcribe to learn, to create, and to play something that's really native to you.
Nice. So I got one last question for you. So for somebody who knows how to play their scale just sort of the monotone way, up and down, and you're like, how do I now get it to sound cool, creative? Like, you know, what would be some sort of key points would you recommend to that person to take it from just the to something more, you know? How do they get from just that to there?
I would say that practice them if you want like really like broken down practice, fancy stuff. I would practice at different rhythms with different rhythms. You can start with 8th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And that still sounds you know, whatever, but you can bring them together when you add triplets. Right? Or you break them up, 8th notes and then triplets. I like triplets a lot because it's very hard for them to sound monotone. Yeah. Even if they're slow triplets, because they give themselves a natural rhythm. And also, you don't have to play every note the same legato. You can play... But that's so just your exercise. Change your inflections. Change your intonation. We don't really have intonation like that as pianists, but they do as horn players a lot. They talk about that. But change it. Change it to tenuto, staccato, legato. Change those inflections up a bit. And then break the scales up. Because all of that is just an E flat major scale.
So they don't have to start on the same note and end like the same note. You can start in the middle, go halfway, and so on.
Right.
And practice too is some form of a chord progression.
Right. Put a chord progression with your scales. It'll make your scales readily useful for soloing, because that's what you want to use them for, is stylistically soloing appropriate to what you enjoy. Nice.
That's great. Yeah. Any last thing you want to add?
I want to add, I would just say that 2 things to me that make musicians stand out above the rest is excellence, which has to do with your character, and diligence. I think that sometimes we get lost in the world of notes. And especially there's some type of like unspoken competition about how much I can play versus how much someone else can play. I would say throw all of that stuff out the window. Excellence is an individual thing. It's something that you do because you want to be that. And it's something that you develop in your own character. And you go for that because you want to be your absolute best. Let other people inspire you. But I would say absolutely don't compete with anyone else, but go for excellence.
Nice. Well, this was great. This was great, Britney. Thank you so much. So, for the folks who want to be able to get more of your teaching and your content and what you do, where are the best place to find you? I found you on Instagram.
Yes.
What's your Instagram handle again?
At Brit Bloom, and that's BritBloom.
And I'm going to link to that down below. Any place else you want to send folks?
Yes, I'm on YouTube as well, Britney Bloom, and I'm going to start doing a few more tutorials as well on there. So if you just type in Britney Bloom, I should be on YouTube as well. I'm on Facebook and all of those things.
Yeah, she's great, guys. Trust me. I mean, when I came across on Instagram, I said, I need her to come to the channel and talk to you guys. So there's a whole lot more that she has going on over there that you need to see for yourself. And she also does this while being a full-time pastor. So she got a whole lot of stuff going on. You definitely should go over there and check it out. Going to link to that down below. And if you guys want to learn more about improvisation as well, I'm going to link to a video here as well. So check that out. All right?